All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel and our Ironsworn Starforged campaign, Crystalline Shadows. We last left off with Ash and Vander having been teleported, time-traveled to a previous point in time within the wrong sector, the Precursor vault city on Savuseni, right? That's how I pronounce it. Yes, Savuseni. They found themselves confronting a little bit of chaos and having to protect some civilians whilst also dealing with a temporal anomaly, which wasn't too terribly difficult. Luckily, nothing went horribly wrong, unlike the previous danger of the escaped chimeras that they fought. So to remind folks that may not remember, Ash got really messed up. Thankfully, Vander was able to patch him up, but he has lost his sword. And but they have gained a little skiff. He cannibalized the grappling attachment to the Stellarhawk to repair a precursor skiff. I don't think I described it last time, but I was picturing like a somewhat bulky, geometric, it's like a hover vehicle with like a flat bed section pulled behind it. I'm picturing it very like geometric or gem-like on the bottom. But they were running from the Blazing Covenant, who has caught up to them. I'm sure there won't be any problems with that as they travel through this facility. But I think I ended us right when we got back. This does seem... yes, we can. This, it seems like we should mark some progress on the help cure Vander, as the reach a milestone, overcoming a crucial obstacle. I think getting sent back in time and coming back, that's a crucial obstacle. Could even be considered a perilous expedition. So now I have to decide where these two are gonna go. I think for that thing, where are the adventure? It's the purple ones. We used, make a discovery, explore a waypoint. Yes, because we got a miss with a match and confronted chaos. So this is what we'll be doing, just to see if they find something good or something bad. Because we're not doing a progression clock for exploring it, we're just kind of using this help cure Vander progression clock. So I think they're going to have one or two more waypoints before they get into the inner sanctum of the vault. So let me also get the oracles here. The vault oracles. Planet side, interior, because that's where we've got the peril and opportunity stuff. So let us get right into it. Going to well, they'll take a minute. They've been through something probably rather harrowing for both of them. Ash, who has probably not had to confront anything particularly strange, maybe, you know, some weirdness around like some sort of messed up star or space anomaly or something, but getting yeeted back in time is a bit much to deal with. And Vander is probably once again back to chattering away notes into their tablet, talking, you know, a mile a minute, and just trying to remember everything that they can. Picture them kind of hunched in the seat, head down, eyes closed, as they're just trying to picture how everything was back in time compared to what it is now, and just trying to note down every species of alien they saw, all the vehicles and technology they saw in use, how the park was and everything. And meanwhile, Ash is looking around at the park now where they find themselves, having reappeared where they were in the past. The protective dome is gone. Everything is withered. There's maybe a tree that's been frozen and half buried in snow. Imagine there's actually like a small crater in the snow where they poofed into existence and like exploded the snow out of the way, because it wasn't there, so they would have been lower down in the past. But after a minute, they hear a crash as some sort of building or infrastructure falls back the way they had come, and they're reminded that they aren't alone in this place, and it's probably not a good idea to stay out in the open. So Ash will nudge Vander and get them to put away their tablet, and, you know, get eyes up and on the lookout as he kicks the skiff back into motion, and we will roll to explore our next waypoint, which is plus wits, and that is a weak hit. On a weak hit, you uncover something interesting but is bound up in a peril or reveals an ominous aspect of this place. Envision what you encounter, then take +1 momentum. Our momentum is all the way up to 9. It was at 8. I could spend that for a strong hit, but I think I want to save this in case we get into combat or something like that, especially with Ash not having his weapon. Probably better to save things. So I'm going to roll a feature to figure out what our waypoint is, and then a peril to figure out what's going wrong with it. Okay, I'm going to roll a different... You know what? No, I like that. That's fun. And an unnerving sound or sensation. So, as they're going along these snow-covered abandoned streets, the reactive infrastructure lighting up momentarily as they pass by, they come to a spot that's already lit up. And what they find is some people in brightly colored uniforms. Or not uniforms, but exosuits. If you recall, the Blazing Covenant was known for having brightly colored ships. And I think it would make sense for this faction to transfer that to their individual style as well. You know, brightly colored exosuits with helmets that have been painted and stylized like old school hockey masks used to be for the goalies. Everyone having a custom paint job to express who they are, or in the case of these guys, were, as they now lay face down in the snow. Ash pulls the skiff to a stop next to them, looking down, as Vander kind of nervously points their gun this way and that way. Something's clearly bothering them. And they just say, do you feel that? What is that? Ash hands his vision around, looking back and forth, trying to pinpoint what exactly feels off. It feels like a predator is stalking them, like the hairs on the back of their necks are standing up, something prowling just out of perception, but the lizard brain is sending off warning bells and saying that it's time to run. And you know what? I think we're gonna face danger. With edge, because I think they're just gonna try and speed out of there and get away from whatever's following them. If anything is following. On a weak hit, you succeed, but not without cost. Make a suffer move. -1. I'm going to say spirit. They still can't see whatever was following them, but as soon as they pick up speed and start to run away, whatever it is gives chase. They can hear footsteps echoing off the abandoned buildings, what remains of them, the crunch of feet or paws or hooves in the snow. But looking back, Vander can't see any footprints or anything following them, though they both distinctly feel like prey running down these streets, until Ash kind of power glides around a sharp corner to change the direction, and as soon as they pass the threshold onto the new street, the sensation is just gone. No, they stop, they look back, nothing passes by the intersection going the same way. They don't see any prints following them, and nor do they hear any more footsteps. But whatever it was, they're both very certain that something was there. So with increased trepidation, our duo carries on. Vander still looks around, helmet turning this way and that as they try to take in every direction at once, as Ash pushes the skiff into a much more sedate pace, trying to keep an eye out for any potential dangers and hoping that he might spot an opportunity instead. Which he does, with a strong hit with a match. So, on a strong hit, choose one. On a strong hit with a match, you may instead make a discovery. So we are going to make a discovery. When your exploration of a waypoint uncovers something wondrous, roll on the table below, or choose one. I'm going to pause for a second and look over this real quick. Okay, actually, this is perfect. So first, we did overcome another obstacle with that, and we're going to mark progress. And I think around this point we should be in the vault. So what I'm going to say is they find the vault now. However, it's not exactly what they thought it was. Instead, because this city was so massive coming into it, they thought that the vault was the dead, well, not the dead center, the back of the settlement. This massive, sprawling city terminated against the giant ice volcano with a clearly carved entrance that, from how far away they were, the fact that they could still see that it was an entrance and that it was carved, it had to be massive, even using, the aid of binoculars and stuff and vision devices. It was clearly something huge. So, but what they didn't realize is that is part of, I believe, the Sanctum is what it's called, right? Yes, the Sanctum. The Sanctum. However, what they didn't realize is that there was a second set of interior barriers. These ones of a strange, glossy, black material. And when they find it, Ash takes the skiff right up to it, kind of bangs on it, and it's solid. It's unmarked, perfectly smooth. It looks almost crystalline, but it sounds metallic when he hits it. And they realize that this is actually the entrance to the Sanctum, and that there is a probably deeper chamber within the ice volcano. However, there is whatever this place was, there was obviously too much going on to be contained just within that, and that it was most likely more practical to have this more secure staging area for whatever dangerous or sensitive items or processes went on in this place. And they so our duo is looking up at this, and they were on a street, so I imagine it ends in a gateway. And I'm, well, it was a miss, or it was a strong hit with a match. So I'm just gonna say that the gateway is open. The whatever was there to bar the progress deeper in has either disintegrated in the millennia that have passed since this empire fell, or was retracted within the wall or into the ground or something like that when this site was abandoned. It could have even been an energy projection, and there just isn't enough power to have defensive systems up, because we know there is power for lights and some infrastructure and stuff like that, but any sort of protective infrastructure probably takes a lot of power, and that might not still be functional, or still be powered. That may be powered down on purpose, that was left to leave the life support systems on, so to say, or maybe it was automatically shut down when energy reserves got low enough to preserve as much as possible for as long as possible. But for whatever reason, they're lucky today, and they can drive right in. And they are driving through what appears to be a much more military focused area now. Before was a supporting city. It was homes and shops and residences. This was a massive sprawling city that had built up around whatever the purpose of this vault was, to house and feed and supply and entertain the people working here, and then to do the same for all of the people who came to do that for the people working here, in one kind of never-ending cycle of growth. But this area This area is much more organized. The buildings are uniform. There are strange labels above the large doors that most of these buildings have, probably for, you know, delivery trucks and whatnot to come in and out of. And it isn't until they're passing one that Vander stops Ash and points to it. And he says, the word doesn't translate exactly, but that should be something along the lines of an armory or a smithy. We don't really know enough of their technology to know the best terminology, but if this infrastructure survived, there might be something useful in there. And Ash will nod and pull over to go investigate. And where is the make a discovery? I said I had a plan or something. And well, this I didn't have 2 sessions ago in mind when I came up with this plan. It was rather convenient narratively. I'm going to say that there is some sort of advanced technology waiting to be harnessed or salvaged in this building. Ash shoulders open the door, the smaller person-sized door, and finds himself in a dusty, mostly barren lobby. There's a couple of spots that look like they might have been for display cases, but as soon as he touches one, it just kind of disintegrates. But there is a door leading deeper into the facility. Vander follows him inside, and they both click on the flashlights that are attached to their helmets, not bothering to look for the lights quite yet. But when they get into the larger room, they do. And what they find here is indeed some sort of weapons storage facility. Now, most of the weapons have been left to gather dust. They're probably not usable. Any natural fibers, which I don't imagine there was a lot of natural fibers. This is probably a lot of metals and plastic equivalents. Strange rifles that neither of them would know how to use, stuff like that. Nor do they see any ammunition for them, so taking those would be useless. However, along the back wall, Ash finds a long workbench. In one corner is what is clearly an anvil. It's got a different shape, but there's only so much you can do with a large, flat, heavy metallic surface in a weapons facility. It was some sort of level surface meant for crafting atop. And on one of the benches built into the wall, luckily metallic workbenches that were meant to stand up to a lot of use and punishment, he finds a metallic case, much like the one that Vander carries, their medical device in. This, however, holds something very different, as Ash walks up to it and flips open the latches and lifts it up, and it's long and thin. I'm thinking like a couple feet long and maybe like a foot deep. What you'd expect, like I guess like an oversized flute case or something to look like some sort of instrument case like that. Definitely not meant for storing a large amount, and there's no real, it doesn't look like there's a handle, so it wasn't probably meant for ease of transport. It was probably meant to just as a case to protect whatever is inside. And what's inside is a very beautifully carved metallic cylinder. It's like smaller than a soda can across. So I think they're like I think the soda can's like 2 inches across, so it's like an inch, maybe an inch and a half across. And Ash picks it up, runs his gloved hands across the carvings. They're not a distinctive shape that he can recognize. They're not like geometric. They're not quite fractals. There's something kind of in between, but they are enthralling to look at. And as he's running his hands across this item, he feels a recessed button and kind of teases it a bit to see like how easy it is to press. And he's looking at it. Before he presses it, he kind of gives the item a once over, and looking at either end of the cylinder the ends are recessed. It looks like there's something in there, but he can't quite tell what it is. So he holds it out in front of him, so it's like away from him, and then firmly presses the button, in which two razor sharp blades appear at either end, and the not exact but familiar runic markings glow a ghostly white along the spines of both blades. This is, much like the weapon he lost, a alchemically enhanced weapon, forever sharp and extremely durable. And that will bring me to the mechanical thing that I wanted to do. As I will remind you guys, Ash has 4 unspent experience, and you can either spend 3 experience to get a new asset, or 2 experience to upgrade one. So I'm going to spend 2 to upgrade our Blade Master talent. Now, let's see here. Do I have to pull it? Will it let me pull it up? I already have it. Yes. So there is one. It's the 3rd one. And let's see here. Advance is a thing you can do. Yep, advance. So advance, it doesn't specifically say here, but I did check in the book. When you advance an asset, you can pick the abilities in any order that you want. So I will be picking the 3rd ability of Blade Master, which is you wield an iconic blade. Give it a name. When you swear an iron vow by binding your promise to the blade, add +1. On a hit, fill the box below. If you make a move, including a progress move, using the Oathbound blade and score a miss, you may clear the box to reroll any dice. Now, there is no box, so we'll have to find a way to do that. However, we now have an iconic blade. I saw this and knew that's what I wanted to do, and had been planning to have him upgrade his weapon in some sort of way, and having him lose his weapon was not part of the plan. However, here we are. It's not something he's super familiar with, but I imagine he's trained in several different forms of weaponry. We're gonna say double-bladed staff swords is one of them. Is it realistic? No. Is it iconic? The Star Wars movies would say yes. So, with that being said, I think they are going to continue on their way. They give a cursory glance around. There aren't any other finished weapons. There don't seem to be any functional terminals here. Perhaps there's some empty shelves, like smaller shelves above the workbenches. They might have been for tools. Maybe they used to have remnants of books, but nothing. They weren't well preserved enough to be inside. With another press of the button, Ash is able to retract the blades and tuck it. Well, he'd probably just carry it for now, honestly. He'll have to fashion some sort of holster for it eventually. But for now, he can either carry it or tuck it into a belt. He'll probably, most of the time whilst in here, while not driving, just be carrying it on the chance that he will very likely need it at some point. However, they do have more to go. I am going to mark another bit of experience, though. Or not experience, but another tick on this vow as they begin to head. They finish this little jaunt, this little waypoint, and head off to the next one. Check something real quick. Okay, I had to break up the recording into 2 sections, so I'm not quite sure how long they are. It looks like we're running at about a little over 30 minutes right now. So I think we've got time for at least one more waypoint. Let's give it another go as they jump back on, and at least Ash feels way more comfortable now that he's got a sword in his hands again. But will that show as they explore deeper into this vault? Alright guys, I gotta admit, I'm getting scared again. It's not the same one, because I'm pretty sure the last one was double 3s. It wasn't 9 again, so we make yet another discovery. I'm gonna roll this time because I don't have anything planned for this aside from, you know, the end of this. The only other thing I have planned for this facility is the end of this this vow, and I don't want to jump right to it. Although we could. Before I forget, I'm gonna mark progress. Now let's see what we find here. I am doing a double check. A strong hit. You may instead make a discovery. Yes, okay. So, roll to make a discovery. New understanding of an enduring mystery. So, okay, I have an idea, but first I did forget something. This does say to give it a name for our Blade Master asset. I would like to hear suggestions for names for this in the comments, if anyone would like to provide, and I will decide on one either that I come up with or most likely at least inspired by comments left afterwards. So let me know what you guys might want to see for names of this blade, and we'll come up with one together. However, as for the discovery, a new understanding of an enduring mystery. Now, the obvious enduring mystery is the the nature of this empire. This forge spanning empire that conquered dozens of different peoples, absorbed cultures, and kind of homogenized them into one massive spacefaring nation. And what I think we find here at this site of obvious military use, this was very clearly a massive staging area for operations. Probably where they would house troops as they move from one place to another. I imagine, obviously, we've seen that they created weaponry here. They were also led here. Our duo was led here for a cure for Vander's condition. So there's probably medical facilities. So this is like this was some sort of massive military fort / installation where lots and lots of people moved through, which also means there was propaganda here. So I think with the pair finds, where are we at? Yeah, we're close enough. As they approach the carved gate leading into the volcano itself, they find a square. And there are some very obviously important buildings here. They're pretty, they're done up. This is probably where like the actual bosses worked. I don't know the military term for where like the command. These were the command buildings. There we go. That's what I'm thinking of. They're all pretty, they're done up, and in the center of them is an open square that, due to its being next to the volcano and with, double-walled high buildings, I think deep into the heart of this city there isn't a whole lot of snow, as the snow drifts have probably gotten less and less as more and more obstacles have been put between the outer tundra and here. Or maybe there's still some sort of infrastructure left to sweep these areas clean. But in the center of the square is a massive statue commemorating the aliens that were this group. And now there aren't oracles for this, but let me check something quick. Let me check the oracles in the book real quick. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna roll on these creature oracles, at least for the looks, to see what these guys looked like. Now, humanoid is one of the basic forms. I'm gonna say that it's humanoid plus another thing, for some additional, stuff. So, or maybe it may just look human. We'll see with if we just roll humanoid. So first, scale. Let's see here. What are the scales? Medium is person size, so I will say medium, person sized. And then for the basic form, what do we got? Lizard or reptilian. So this is a humanoid reptile, some sort of lizard folk, dragonkin. They're probably, so it's the statue doesn't, it's I'm gonna say it's the same strange black metal, so it's hard to make out some of the things, as like the clouds above and the sunlight shifts, and it's hard to see some of the finer details. However, there is a very distinctive snout and scales and probably clawed hands that give a distinct reptilian, anthropomorphic reptilian form. Now, what else stands out about them? So an oversized mouth, so probably more alligator or crocodile-like. Or no, let's go the opposite direction. It's wide. Their faces are wide and have this... the statues have the mouth open, not bared teeth, but open in like what would probably be a smile. So it shows a hint of teeth. And it's, to a human, looks oddly stretched and unnervingly large. Something like a bearded dragon or a gecko or something like that, where it's flat and wide. As well as distinctive markings. So along with the scales on their of their feature, it does seem that some of the scales were marked, some sort of colorful pattern perhaps that has been lost in the monochromatic black metal surface, but the artist still tried to represent as best they could. These were once the overlords of the Forge, so congratulations, conspiracy theorists. The Reptoids did in fact rule the galaxy at one point. And you know, we got here from Earth. Maybe they came to Earth too before we left, who knows? But these are at least the shape of the former rulers of this section of space, thus giving a bit of closure to one of the great mysteries of the Forge, of who were these precursors. We don't have a name for them yet. I assume they would get one once this becomes public knowledge, but that'll be for when Vander gets home. For now, this is just a mystery that our duo has solved for themselves. Let me also double check something real quick for a discovery. When you first experience or engage with a discovery, you and your allies may mark 2 ticks on your discoveries track. So we've made 2 discoveries, so we get 4 ticks on our discoveries track. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're back to 4 unspent XP. I'll have to figure out what I want to do with that. I have a feeling it's going to be a new asset rather than upgrading one of the ones that we have. Although I will have to look into especially what the starship upgrades can do. Maybe we'll get a new module. Maybe we'll upgrade something. We'll see. But for now, I think our pair is going to make their way deeper into the sanctum. Let's... I wish there was a first look for the sanctum, but let's take a look here. What did our... Do we have any notes about this? Damage and debris, reactive lighting response to your presence. Okay, so... And there's the monument. I didn't even remember that. So yes, the monument. And I'm going to say the carved feature, now that they get into it and can see it, is a set of guards. As tall as this massive multi-story entryway, this archway that has been carved into the ice of the volcano. I imagine it's not as distinct, so it was hard to tell. Perhaps it's been partially covered by eruptions since it was first carved, But now that they've seen the statue, our Ash and Vander can clearly see that this was supposed to be like a set of honor guards. 20 feet into the air, carved into this stone, standing sentry outside this clearly important facility's innermost workings. But as they move inside, the headlights of the skiff and the flashlights of their helmets panning around, what do they see inside the sanctum? Sealed containers of inscrutable purpose. So there's more of those containers, not the exact same that Ash found his new sword in, but clearly made by the same company. You buy these as a set, you get the one little one for your sword and you get the big ones for your stuff, and they're just stacked up. Maybe not even neatly stacked. These are just the ones that were left behind. These ones, I'm going to say they're extra secure. Ash and Vander can't even see a way to get them open. It was now seeing that the people who made this facility had claws. Maybe there are some very subtle latches or something that human fingers aren't quite fine enough to get into. You need like a claw tip or something to even feel it. But they're not boxes and boxes stacked up, what I was initially thinking. No, I think it makes more sense to have them be boxes that were left behind. These are ones that couldn't fit on whatever transport, or they didn't have enough time to load. These are ones that for whatever reason were left behind. I'm going to sanctum, and I'll make a note right here for that this is the interior. Let's do that. And as for the purpose, we've already talked about it. We've revealed that this is some sort of massive overall military operation, the equivalent of a modern day military fort, where it'd be used in wartime to treat the injured coming back from the front. It'd be used as a staging area for soldiers coming from deeper within the Empire, moving through to another point more forward, and after the reaches were expanded to travel from place to place. So I guess we need to explore another waypoint. It's gone so well so far. I can't wait to see how it goes horribly, horribly wrong as they push deeper past this entrance. There it is. There's the miss. I couldn't even make this a weak hit with my 9 momentum. So I do believe we're going to find... Okay, I've got an idea. We're going to find a peril, obviously. And then we're going to find something else. And then I think we're going to call it once we describe what's going on. And then we'll see next time what happens. So, the peril we see in the Inner Sanctum: destructive environmental disturbance. Great. Obviously, there's a massive ice flow, I think, coming down. They travel deeper into the facility, and they find that the upper ceiling, which is just ice of the carved cave, there's probably some support pillars and stuff that people have, either ice pillars have been left and specifically not carved out to provide support, or artificial pillars have been put into place where the ceilings and stuff are lower. I don't imagine this was like the whole thing is like 20 feet tall like the doorway was. I imagine it slopes down and gets to a much more reasonable, but still probably large ceiling height. so they could move machinery and equipment and stuff in and out of here. However, they that upper ceiling has cracked, and there is now freezing cold but still liquid water with chunks of ice flowing down and down the wall and across the floor, blocking the way. I'm also going to say, to add a little bit more drama, that they hear engines echoing down the tunnel they just came down. They're going to have to abandon the skiff, but it does appear that their foes have, shall we say, have caught up to them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a clock. And this is going to turn into a scene challenge. So, pirates catch up. So when this clock fills, the pirates will have caught our duo. Where will they be at that time? We don't know. Where's the scene challenge? Begin a scene. Okay, so it is going to be a dangerous reach the inner chamber. So next time we're going to start with a chase scene. Will our group, our duo, our intrepid duo, there we go, that's the word, reach the inner chamber, or will the pirates catch them, or will both happen? Who knows? If you want to see what happens next, and if you liked our little adventure today, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can find out when we post next time and continue our adventure. For now, thank you for watching, and as they say in the Forge, stay safe out there.